Hi everyone. I'm Kylie. For those of you who haven't seen my face before, I know you probably see me around the group plenty. Thanks for joining us for grade two curriculum choices, our last one for the year. And I do want to put in that caveat that I have put in every post that I've said. Yes, we say grade two, but grades are such an arbitrary thing, and I'm not sure where you are on your homeschool journey, but once you've been homeschooling for a little while, you'll quickly realize that your children will be in all different levels. So it's sort of a good figure to use, but don't get too caught up in my child is in grade two. And we have Marieka joining us today. She's a home educating mum from WA.
So, hello everybody. I live on the west coast of Australia. We live by the beach, and I do have 5 children, 4 whom I am homeschooling. And we've just finished up our 6th year of homeschooling. So, I've been doing this for a little while. And I have a bit of a Charlotte Mason bent to my homeschool curriculum, but really it's more eclectic. I kind of just take pieces from here, just what fits with our family or fits with the children that I'm educating. So a Charlotte Mason bent, but probably just a little bit more eclectic.
Let's jump in. Let's share
Okay.
some resources. Have you got them broken down into subjects? Is that how you?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
jump in. What have you got for us first to have a look at?
Okay, so this year, one of my sons is in grade 2, and I love what you said at the beginning, how, when we say grades and ages, it's so loose. And so my son's 7, but he kind of fits into that grade 2 area. And I have really, so he's the third one that I'm kind of putting through homeschool, and he's so different to the other children that I taught at this grade. For language and literacy, or English, you could call it. I use the Good and the Beautiful Language and Literacy program. And this is an American program, but it is absolutely fine to use American programs here in Australia. A lot of people do use American programs because that's just what is available to us. And so if there is anything that is American in there, I will just change it. So if there's any spelling differences or anything like that, or in the books that he's reading, the classic of MOM instead of MUM, I just wipe that out and make any changes that I need to. But it's absolutely okay to use an American curriculum. I love this language arts program. There's several reasons why I love it. One is it's free to download and print yourself at home. So ordering curriculum from America can be very, very expensive. So this is a really great, inexpensive way to get your curriculum. It's free to download. My son's using level 1. They do have a placement test that you can take on the website so that you can correctly place your child in the right level, because the levels don't match year grades. So this is level 1, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's for a grade 1 student. So I recommend that you take the placement test and you can pop them in at the right level for your child. So my son's in grade 2, but he's actually using the level 1. And for this language arts program, it is cross-curricular as well. So it has everything that you need for English in here: reading, writing, phonics, spelling, handwriting. It's all included, and there's several books that you print out. And then it also includes geography and art appreciation as well, which I love. I love when something's cross-curricular and I can cover multiple subjects in one area. And it also comes with little books that you can print off as well, and they're like little readers, and so I don't even need to get readers from the library or anything like that. It comes with that. This is from the older version. They look a little bit different from the newer version, and so I'm able to print out, there's a whole stack here that I was able to print out, and so these are little readers, so he can read aloud to me from that. And also the reason I love this as well is that the lessons are short and sharp. So it probably only takes him 20 minutes to complete one lesson, which is perfect for my son who's in grade 2 because he won't sit still longer than that. I have a child who is super energetic. He doesn't necessarily want to learn to read and write either. It is hard for me to get him to come and do those kind of exercises. Over the year, he has gotten so much better. But at the beginning of the year, it was really hard for him to come and write, just the whole thing, getting his little fingers to write. He doesn't enjoy coloring in and things like that. So I appreciate that these lessons are just 20 minutes. They're short and sharp, and we do them every single day that we do school. And so we can get through the curriculum in a whole year. But I absolutely love this. He does enjoy using it. It's not overwhelming for him. As I said, it's only 20 minutes long. And so that's easy enough for him to do. So that's what I use for language and literacy.
You mentioned that that program is free to download and print at home. Is that the case for the entire language arts all the way through, or is it
I
just
think it's so I think for their pre-K you have to purchase, but from K through to grade 6, it's all free to download and print yourself at home. Then they do have high school curriculum, but I do believe you need to pay for that. But again, they're just PDFs that you can download at home, which is what I recommend for us in Australia, so we don't have to pay shipping. And the printer that I have is an Epson Eco Tank, which has the refillable ink. I print it in color. It prints back to front, and I also just then have a binding machine at home that I just bind the book. This is only unit 1 of level 1, so it's not that thick. So I just print. I think there's probably 3 or 4 units within the whole grade, so I've just got unit 1 printed out in this little book. It's just easier for him to manage. Yeah. I've managed to teach all of my children how to read and how to write using the good and the beautiful. So all of my children are on that. Yeah.
And Kirsten has said that they have some great videos, but of course with the American accent. Do you use
they have app on that we use on our phone too. So I don't have any manipulatives that go with the program because I have an app with these letter tiles, and when it comes to spelling, you can use the app and he uses the spelling tiles on there. And they do have little videos that do go over the phonics, and again I just sit with him, and if I hear anything that's slightly different, then I'll just remember to go, actually this is the way that we say it. Yeah, that's how I navigate.
You showing us a couple of pages inside the book? Rebecca has asked, what kind of approach does it take to reading? Do you know if it's balanced literacy, phonics based? And can you describe how it's phonics?
It's phonics. Yeah, so that's just an example of an activity there. So it has another book that you can read that goes through the phonetics. Like you have words every day that, like a set of words that you're going to read. And then you have portions of the lesson that I read aloud to him and answer and ask him some questions. And then there's here you can see this is a letter tiles activity. So we go onto the little app and I'm reading out these words and he's having a go at writing them. Or if you didn't want to do that, they say you could write them down, on a whiteboard or in a notebook. Then this is like an art appreciation activity. And then there's always then independent work. And that's kind of what the independent work, and it'll just be one sheet per lesson at this age. And because it is free to download, you can actually go and have a look at this yourself. If you want to have a closer look, you don't have to purchase it to have a look at what it's like. You could even print out some lessons. You just download the PDF onto your computer and you can have a look at all the lessons yourself if you're really interested. Yeah. I did add in some extra handwriting. As I said, he was struggling with his fine motor. He couldn't write for long. He couldn't colour for long because of his little fingers. And so we have just used Handwriting Without Tears, which has lots and lots of different levels. And this one is just the printing one because we were using it last year and then we finished off this year. And so, just a really simple handwriting book. And we would just add in a page a day whenever we did language and literacy.
Handwriting Without Tears is a very popular program amongst homeschoolers worldwide. So it's it's well
Yeah.
regarded,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then I find just reading lots and lots of books is super, super helpful. And so what I tend to do when with reading books with my grade 2 is we actually do it at bedtime. As I said, my grade 2 boy is a very active, he's very busy, he's always outside. And so, but he loves for me to lay down in bed with him at nighttime. So I really capitalize on that moment and make sure I read to him at that time. And one of the book series that we have been reading is just the Heartwood Hotel series of books. There's 4 in the series, but I've only got 3 here because my daughter's reading the other one. But these are just a really sweet little just a novel book series about animals living in the forest, but he has really enjoyed that. And so I always make sure all of reading time kind of happens every day. I think with children, my number one tip with language and literacy is read to them as much as you can, all sorts of books, whether they're picture books or novels or information books. They will just take in so much, and they will also learn to read and write in that way as well. So read to your book, read to your children, no matter what ages they are, as much as you can.
Oh, Kirsten said Brave Writer does a companion to the Heartwood Hotel book. Have you looked at that?
Oh, no, I haven't.
I say I haven't seen that book. I was like, oh, and now Brave Writer does it. Thanks, Kirsten.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, it is a really cute series. My daughter is 11 and she enjoys them. And then I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're just sweet, sweet little books. And so, yeah, love this series. Yeah.
Lovely. Great. Thanks for sharing that.
So I just wanted to talk about math, and we actually use an online maths program. So I don't have anything physical to show you, but we use mathsonline.com.au, and we have used that for our whole homeschooling journey, and all my children use it. And so we really enjoy that. And I don't even have any maths manipulatives or anything like that. I think I've got a clock that I picked up from Kmart Australia, and that's pretty much all I use, simply because my son is just wired for maths. And so he can look at a maths problem and he can work it out. He doesn't need any external things to help him count or anything like that. And Maths Online is aligned with the Australian curriculum, so that's why I love it. It has a free trial if anyone is interested in looking at it. They have excellent customer service, so I encourage you, if you haven't checked it out, use the free trial, because I know it doesn't work for everybody, but it does work for my children. And in fact, my son is in grade 2 but is actually completing grade 3 math, just because he's just wired that way. He blitzed through grade 2, so we just moved him on to grade 3 and he's nearly finished that. And so it has little video tutorials that teaches the maths concept, and then they have questions that they complete online. If we were not using that program, I would then use the maths program from The Good and the Beautiful as well. I have used that in the past for my other son, and that worked really, really well. And it comes with little manipulatives, or you put your own set of manipulatives together. So if I wasn't using an online program and I needed something else, I recommend the maths program from The Good and the Beautiful as well. And I believe that is also free for you to download and print out at home. There again is a placement test, and so you can hop on there and download and have a look at the activities yourself and see if that would work for your child.
All right, well, let's move on then.
Okay. So the next subject area I'm going to talk about is geography. Now, geography is included in the language and literacy program that I showed you. So they'll go over things like, cardinal, north, south, east, west. They will go over landforms, world oceans, mountains, rivers, all that kind of stuff. So I don't add any extra geography in. I just let the Good and the Beautiful language program take care of that. The only geography that I do then add in is Australian geography. And so I wouldn't do Australian geography every year, but it just happened to be this is the year that we did do Australian geography. And the book that I did use is called Discover Down Under. It's called Australian Geography for Kids, and it looks like this. but it was recently, this is the old copy. It recently got redone and reprinted this year, and now it looks like this, which is a beautiful book. It is from My Homeschool, which is an Australian homeschool curriculum that you can work through. And Michelle, I believe it's Michelle Morrow, she has then released some books that you can then purchase. I think she's got a nature, like a nature discovery type one, and she has this one as well. And this is just available from Amazon. And this is what I would call a living book. And so it's talking about the geography of Australia, but she's telling it like a story. It's not a textbook, if that makes sense. So you are, sorry, I'm not very good with this camera angle. So you are reading aloud to the children from the book. And then usually at the end of the chapter, there are some like discussion questions. So you read aloud, and then you can get the children to recite back to you what they remember from reading. And then there's some discussion questions here. And for example, it says, the number one question is, tell me what you've learnt this lesson. And so the children, so then my son would then tell me what he learnt, and I could get him to write that down in a notebook, or I could scribe that for him if he's not into writing. And then here it says, find these places on the map. And so then you'd get out a map, and this chapter was about New South Wales. So it's like, can you find Sydney? Can you find Mount Kosciuszko? Can you find Broken Hill? And so you're doing some map work. You could extend that by then printing off a map and then actually getting them to label it. But just at grade 2, we were just simply finding it on a map. And so this goes through all of the states and territories of Australia. And I've been using this because I had this copy for years, the old one. I've been using this since the beginning of my homeschool journey. So for 6 years. We don't do it every year. We'll kind of get it out, every second year or every third year. In the primary school years, the children will probably do this twice, if that makes sense. And then I just have a ruled notebook, which looks like this. It's one of those like dotted thirds exercise books. And I probably just got this from Officeworks. And what we do is I got him to do some map work. Again, remember, I've got a child who's super busy, doesn't necessarily want to come to the table to do lessons, and so try and make lessons short and sharp for him. And so basically what we were doing was just doing some copy work. And so I would write down the information, and he's just copying it underneath, adding, this is for Canberra, adding the state flag and the emblem. And then I think we just made a map of Australia as well. So as we learnt about each state, he would just paint it and we would write in. But then you could, if you wanted to, you could make this map even more detailed. But for him at this stage of his learning, everything is just super simple, easy to do, and fairly quick.
Oh, that's great. Well done. Thanks for sharing that. It's always interesting to see little peeks inside what other children are doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify, the Exploring Down Under book doesn't come with any type of worksheets or workbook. It leaves it up to you, the parent, to decide how little or how much you want to add to it.
I'm presuming that in the My Homeschool curriculum, that is an online curriculum, that she would have more activities that went along with this book. That's what I'm presuming is how it works. And this is Charlotte Mason themed
Perfect.
style.
Thank you.
For history now. my son's grade 2, but at the same time, I'm also teaching another son who's in grade 4 and my daughter who has been in grade 6. And so we do all of our lessons family style. And so, so the geography is all done as a family, and also the history that I'm going to show you as well is all done as a family. He is doing the same as my daughter who is in grade 6, but the activity or the level that is expected to him is obviously slightly less, and my daughter is more. So that's how we kind of manage that. But for Australian history this year, we have been learning about the First Fleet for Australian history. And we read this book, which is called John of the Sirius. This is a storybook about a young boy named John who his father happens to be a captain in the British Navy, and they get selected to come out on the first boats, the first fleet that come to Australia. And it's a story about his journey coming around the world to settle in Australia. This is a 3-book series. The next book that we will read is then them landing at Sydney Cove and all that kind of stuff, but told as a story. So it's not a textbook, it is a storybook. And what I usually do with a lot of things that I read, even with the geography, we also use YouTube videos as well. And so when I'm reading this book and it's talking about the boat that they come out on, I make sure I kind of jump on and at least show the children some pictures. There's some great little videos out there that have been put out from, I think it's called Behind the News, about this subject. And I always kind of add in some visual learning as well. So we generally read and then we'll watch a video for some visuals and then we'll do an activity. So that's kind of how I work. No activities with this book. I think we were just purely reading it for enjoyment, because at grade 2, that's just where we're at. For the older children, they might do some, write what they learnt or do a little project about the First Fleet or something like that. But at grade 2, we're just super simple, and we are just reading for enjoyment for this book.
Great. Did you get that from Living Book Press?
Living Book Press, yep.
Okay, Adele has asked, how do you find managing the different ages? I have 4 children and would love to do family style, but worry about managing it.
I find it super easy. So for example, the history book I'm going to show you is called Story of the Worlds. This is world history, and I'm doing this book with the 3 different ages, and we all read aloud together at the same time. We'll watch some videos, and then I will pull out some activities for them to do, and I just pull out an activity that's kind of for each level, and then we go to the table and then they'll work on their different activities, and I'll sit at the table and can help them. And so for my daughter who's in grade 6, she needs to do a lot more writing, so she will just, even a simple activity of writing out. And when she recites to me what she's learnt, instead of reciting to me, she will just write paragraphs of what she learnt. She might then hop online and find some pictures that she can print out to go along with that. And then my next son down, he will not have to write as much. I might just have 3 questions that I've written out, and he has to answer 3 questions. And then down to the youngest one, he just tells me what he learnt and I'll scribe that out. And he might have a colouring in sheet. And so kind of just, I'm actually a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal, and I don't have all of these activities worked out before I even start. So this is how I work, and I know not everyone works like that, but I'm a mum of 5. I'm super busy. I don't have days where I can sit and plan and print out activities and things like that. So what I do is, okay, we're doing history today. I grab the history book and I read the chapter aloud, and then I'll pop some YouTube videos on. And while the kids are sitting watching the YouTube videos, I'm there with them still. I then jump on my computer while they're watching the videos and eating morning tea. I jump on my computer and quickly find some activities or make an activity up or have a think about what I'm going to do. And then after they've watched the videos, we then do the activities. And so I'll just grab free sheets from Pinterest, look for free activities. I will go on Twinkle. I have a free account on Twinkle, but you can pay for an account on Twinkle, and they have heaps of different activities through all subject areas and grades that you can print off and use to go along, or teachers pay teachers. But honestly, I don't like busy work. At the same time, I don't like busy work. I don't like doing just a worksheet for worksheet sake, right? And so often we'll just do an art notebooking page instead. So let me talk about it. So I use this. It's called The Story of the World, and this is more of a classical homeschool style, I think. And there's 4 books in this series, and this is volume 1, and it's ancient times. And the books are designed that you would work through the books one after another, and then as you're working through the books, your children are getting older, and then you come back and start at the beginning again. So for my son, who's in grade 2, this is the first time that he is doing ancient times. But for my daughter, this is her second time. So you will go through them twice. And so we really enjoy the story of the world. And basically, it's just a read aloud. You can get an activity book that goes along with this that gives you questions to ask, copy work, it gives you maps, it gives you colouring in pictures. So you can purchase that alongside this book. I just got mine from Amazon, but I haven't got the companion book. I just do my own thing. So I just have this book. It is just read aloud. I don't read everything. Sometimes I skip over some stuff just because we won't get through it in a year. But it's almost like a living book. It's telling a story about people through history. And then we have a history notebook, which is just an art notebook, which I've picked up from Kmart, Australia. And this is what I mean about art notebooking pages. So at the beginning of the year, they were very, very simple. And so we were talking about the first people who were nomads, and all he simply has done is drawn a picture about the first people. You can see this little guy down here. He's naked. He's building a fire. We've got somebody getting food from a tree, and he just told me about nomads, and I wrote down what he told me. And that is a simple notebooking page for somebody who's in grade 2. The same with first farmers. And then to get a little bit more technical, we have some map work. So this is just a map of ancient Egypt that I found free online. I just would have gone to Pinterest and typed in ancient Egypt map for free, and I've printed it off, and he has painted it and just labeled the key there. And so that's just super, super easy. So we would have read about ancient Egypt, watched YouTube videos to get, some pictures forming in his mind of what it looked like. I've printed this off, and then he's completed that and put it in his notebooking page. This one, another super simple activity. This is using Canva. So cross-curricular, he's using digital technologies, and he has just found all the images that go with ancient Egypt. He's found the images, he's manipulated the images, he's put them onto a sheet, he's printed it out himself. So it's not rocket science, super easy, and things that he's going to enjoy. He's grade 2, doesn't want to sit still, wants to be outside.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that we as parents, especially new home educating parents, can really make things much more convoluted than what they need to be.
Absolutely.
If you do feel overwhelmed and you are new, as Marieka has pointed out, The Story of the World does have an activity book that goes along with it, and it will give you a plethora of activities to do and pages you can photocopy and print out for your children. You don't need it. Tracy has asked, can you explain what you mean when you say your daughter has been through that book twice?
Yeah. Okay, so when she was in grade 2, she read this book, and we did exactly the same. I would read aloud, she'd watch YouTube videos, and then she would complete a notebooking page. Then the next year she went on to the next book, and so on, and now we're back to doing it again. So she's going through this as as older now. And so, you know, when you're in grade 2, you are doing super simple activities, and you're not always going to remember the information, but you hit the subject again when you're older, and they retain more information and better understanding, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Can I just quickly touch, if you don't mind, Marieka, back
Yep.
on the family learning question? I
Yep.
just sort of wanted to share from my perspective. I've got 3 children, so not as many as you, but and when I 100% agree with you when you said family learning is just so much easier. And whilst it seems like, oh my goodness, how could I tackle this? If you're doing 5, 6, 7 subjects with 3 kids, all doing different programs, that is makes my head hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Whereas family learning, so for
Yeah.
anything that you can do, and
Yeah.
generally it's science, history,
Yeah.
geography, all
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
extras, you really can just do it as a family. And even if it's as simple as your 5-year-old is doing nothing other than listening to the read
Yeah.
aloud,
That's
there's
enough.
still moving. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Adele, it's
Oh,
really a case of just get started.
yeah.
And it's hard. I think this is the difficult part about these things because homeschooling is such an individual activity. We can only share our experiences and what we've
Yes.
done. And then unfortunately, you do have to do the hard yards
Yeah.
of working out what works for you. There's no way
That's
around
right.
it.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to you as someone who I was a teacher. That is my profession. And I'm 6 years deep into homeschooling. I've tried everything else, and I have found what has worked. And so I didn't just all of a sudden start and like, yep, this is what this is perfect. It was trial and error. I've tried other history things. We used the Good and the Beautiful history at first, and I didn't like that. So we stopped using that. Found the story of the world. It can be trial and error, and sometimes it can be really overwhelming. But also, I think my advice is remember this is not school at home, and it doesn't have to look like the classroom at home. This is education at home, and so it does look different. Education for us at home does look like us as a family sitting on our couch reading storybooks together and watching videos together. And sometimes we don't even do an activity sheet. We don't have to do a writing or an activity sheet for every history lesson. We do our writing and learn how to write in language and literacy. We do that every day. But when it comes to history, you don't have to have a work sample for every single lesson. When it gets to the end of the year, I will have enough work samples to show progress, to show my moderator for my end of year meeting. But every time we get out our history book, we are not doing writing every single time. Sometimes it just purely may be reading aloud, reciting back to me so I can gauge that they're understanding and I can clear up any messes. We'll watch some videos and that will be the entire history lesson, especially for someone who's in grade 2. Yeah.
Adele just asked, what age would you start the story of the world?
So grade 2 feels pretty good. Yeah, I think last year it would have been over his head, but grade 2 has been pretty good. And again, just not expecting to do something, as I just said, every lesson, but just it is just enough at grade 2 to read aloud. Yeah.
Hannah asked, do you do Australian Indigenous history?
Yes, I do, but I don't do it every year. So I haven't got the books out because I didn't do Indigenous history this year. I kind of do it every couple of years. I have used another book from my homeschool, but it's out of print now. I think it was My Sunburnt Country, I think it was called. And I do have the Dark Emu books, which tend to be from when they're a little bit older. There's a Dark Emu Junior book, which is great. I think what I tend to do for Indigenous education is I learn myself from the books like reading like Dark Emu and things like that. And then because I just haven't found in my opinion, a great Australian history Indigenous curriculum, basically. And so, yeah, just kind of pick and draw from here. Yeah, that's a really difficult one.
It is. I always recommend to tap into as many excursions and those
Yeah,
types of things in your area
absolutely.
that you
Yeah.
can. 'Cause-
Yeah, go to the museums.
yeah.
Yeah, even find some elders in your community that can, do some kind of incursion with you and things like that. We do have Indigenous children in our family. We're a foster care family, and my sisters also and friends are foster carers, and they have Indigenous children. And so often we'll go along to NAIDOC week events and things like that. And so, yeah, I just encourage you to actually don't rely on a textbook for that. Go excursions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. What else
Okay.
for
I've
us?
got I've got science now for you. Now, what I do in my homeschool year, I don't do every subject every term. So, for instance, for term one, we do language and literacy and maths. They are done throughout the whole year. And then I add in one other subject. So in term one, we did language and literacy, maths, and then had a science focus. And I didn't do history at all. All I was doing was reading aloud that history read aloud book in first term. Then in second term, we didn't do anything science related and we just did history. And then term three, back to science, term four, back to history. Now, the reason I do that is because it's too overwhelming to do all of the things all of the time. I have 5 children, one of them who is a baby slash now toddler. And so I try and keep things as minimal as possible. So we did 2 science subjects this year, and that is absolutely okay for you to do that. You don't have to do everything all year long. Like, keep it simple, especially we're talking about grade 2 in this video, especially for our younger kiddos. They don't need to be doing all of the subjects every single term. Okay. And so I've just got 2, we covered 2 kind of subjects this year for science. And the first one we did was space. Every little kid loves space, and I decided to do space with my kids. I like to involve them in what subjects they would like to learn. I find that is a good way to go to keep them engaged and interested and learning, especially my son who's in grade 2. If it's a subject that he's not interested in, I am going to battle getting him to sit, to listen, to do the things.
Yep.
And so he was interested in space. So I said, great, let's run with that. We are going to do space this term. Now, like I said with the history, my daughter who's older, she's come through doing everything twice. She's already done space before, but my younger son hasn't. And so again, we did it family style, but I chose to do it a little bit different. We used a curriculum last time for space from The Good and the Beautiful. They have science programs, and I really, really enjoy those. And we did enjoy the space unit study that we got from there, but we decided not to use that this time and just mix it up and try something else. So all I really did was read aloud from this planetarium book. This is a beautiful book. You would have seen these series of books because everybody who seems to homeschool seems to have these science museum books. There's the planetarium one, there's the botanicum one. You know, this is a junior edition. So again, I've just this is not a curriculum that I followed. This is me being eclectic and just using what I have and running with it. So we already had this planetarium book, and so it has beautiful illustrations. So basically, all I would do is read aloud the information from this book. It is short and it is sharp. Again, trying to keep the interest of my little boy. He's not going to sit for a really long time listening to information. He is better off visually looking at something. So then we use YouTube. So we read aloud from the book, and then we find videos on YouTube about Venus, what it looks like, all that kind of stuff. And he would watch videos. And then we would just, again, do some notebooking pages. Again, just in the same book that we were using for geography. I don't have separate notebooks. I just have the one history book and then this notebook. I just can't, I don't have a designated homeschool room in my house. I have a tiny house, and 5 children. I don't have room to store binders, to store lots of workbooks or anything like that. So we just use one workbook, and when that's finished and the moderator has seen it, I recycle it. I don't even keep it. I'm not sentimental in any way. And so we would just then do a notebooking page in here. And so again, it's just super simple. I won't show you because he probably doesn't want me to show you. But all he has done is when we learnt about a planet, say we're learning about the moon, we would read from the book, we would watch some videos, he would tell me what he learned, and then he would write some sentences in this notebook. And that's all we were doing for the notebooking pages, really easy. And then I think I just printed off a free sheet for the phases of the moon. And I maybe did one other worksheet, but that's it. Just a lot of reading and watching and talking. And then I love the Who Was book series. Again, remember I said at the beginning, just read anything that you can. And we really enjoy these books. And so this is kind of science and history. We learnt about Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, and then we were learning about Galileo. And these are just really great storybooks, teaching them about the person that you're reading about. And, when it was talking about he invented this, the pendulum swinging, we just quickly grabbed some string and something to tie on the end of the string. We hung it up from our ceiling and we looked at how a pendulum worked. And so that was a fly by the seat of the pants kind of thing. So I would just take photos of that activity and then say, hey, what did you learn? What did we do? I'd write out his answer, and that becomes a work sample to show the moderator, hey, we did a science experiment.
Yep.
And then I just created this worksheet on Canva. I use Canva a lot. I just have a free account, and sometimes I hack into my husband's business account and use that one. But I just designed this worksheet on Canva. It's just after reading the book, Who Was Galileo, we just then made this sheet. He drew a picture of who Galileo is. He wrote when he was born, when he died, his occupation, and what he was most famous for. And so then that becomes a work sample to show my moderator. And with science, I always try and find some kind of STEM kit that goes in with that as well. And he just put this STEM kit together, and this is just from Kmart. It's the sun with the planets orbiting, and there's stickers here as well, and it comes all apart, and he's put it all together himself. And then so I'm covering STEM, and it's in with our science. And then I had another STEM kit that I think I just got from Temu, which was the Earth rotating around the sun and the moon rotating around the earth. I don't have it with me. I think my toddler did destroy it. But we had this little STEM kit that came in all the pieces. He put it together. I took photos of it that then can show my moderator. So I've covered a couple of STEM activities, thrown it in with my science.
Perfect. I have to say, I love that you've shared that. And I forgot to say in the beginning, for those of you unaware, I've homeschooled this is my 18th year. And I think, and again, there's no right or wrong way to homeschool. So what I'm about to say, it's just sort of, from me. But what Marieka's just shared with science, I think is the beauty of homeschooling, because this is where in the Facebook group, we're constantly pushing, you don't need to buy this, you don't need to buy that. You absolutely could have just borrowed those books from the library and done that with an exercise book. You don't even need to print off the worksheet that you created in Canva. You could have hand-drawn that yourself.
Yeah.
And that is the true beauty of homeschooling, that
Absolutely.
even what looks like the bare basics is still more than enough for
It is. Especially in today's economy, I know I can't afford to be purchasing all of these fancy curriculums and books and things. And this year I kind of just went, what is on my shelf? And I'm going to use that. as it was great as well because, as I said, my daughter went through the other curriculum. I could do it again, but hey, let's just try something new. And we thoroughly enjoyed it, covered everything that we need to cover. It's enough.
Yeah, no, well done. Perfect.
And
Okay.
then the second subject that we covered for science was like ocean studies, marine studies. We always tend to do something like that at the beginning of the year. We take December off, January off, and start school sometime in February. But we live by the ocean and we're real ocean people. We are on our boat, we are fishing. This past season, we were swimming with sea lions. We've got a sea lion island just off the coast from where we live. We swim with dolphins, we swim with stingrays, and that is all my kids are interested in. They're collecting shells, they're just loving the ocean. And so we then just like, again, okay, he's really interested in this, let's learn about that. And so I didn't run out and buy a curriculum. I used what I had on my shelf. And so we were reading from the Ocean Anatomy book, which is by Julia Rothman. She's got, I think, 4 books that are like this, and they're just beautiful. They've got really beautiful illustrations and then just simple snippets of writing. I felt like I could just use the books that I had because we do watch YouTube, and my son's favorite YouTube channel, I think, is called Jonathan's Blue World, and it's all about the blue world, all about the ocean. The guy he's like a dad, and it's a professional YouTube channel. It's not just, some dad filming videos. And they're excellent. And he got more information out of watching that channel and then experiencing the things for himself in the ocean than he did from any book. And so I really use this book probably more as, again, this is family style. I make sure I kind of have a book for all of the children, but we use Jonathan's Great Blue World. And when it comes to the my writing my school report, I write that YouTube channel on my school report. We watch videos from this channel. I don't link every video or anything like that. I just say this is the channel that we were using. So we would pick something. I would let him really run with this because this is why. So it's the beginning. This was back in February, the beginning of the school year. Nobody wants to go back to school after summer. And I really needed something that he was interested in and that he was kind of running the show. And so it's like, what do you want to do? You want to keep learning about this? Yep. And he's like, I'd like to watch YouTube. So he would watch Jonathan's Blue World, and I'd kind of do some other stuff with the older children. But yeah, he would watch the YouTube channel, and then we would do, again, art notebooking pages. So if we're learning about the crab, for example, because I have this page here, we would find, we've gone crabbing, we've held crabs, we've studied crabs. So I take photos of him doing that at the beach when he finds the crab. And then we will watch some videos about it to learn some information. Then we would grab this book and he would just have a go at drawing the crab and labeling it just like this page. So we would almost just recreate this page in our notebooks. And then I would just, again, how I said, bedtime is when he loves to read. We would just have books and I just read to them at bedtime. So my kids love to collect seashells and things like this. So we just have this Beachcombers companion. You can grab any companion guide for the area that you live in. So each time he would find a shell, we were just trying to find it in this book and read. This is purely for enjoyment and learning about the seashells. I'm not doing anything else with it. There's no activity to go with it. It's just about, I think with homeschool, we need to remember we're teaching our children to love to learn and we're teaching them how to learn. So my son knows if I find something and I want to know about it, I can get it. I can go and get a book, or I can use YouTube or the internet to find out about this thing. So that's what I'm really trying to teach him. And then at bedtime, we would just read. These are honestly just books that we had either on our shelf or we'd get some from the library, just easy picture books. We always liked Usborne books. And so I would just, DK books, Usborne books, we would just flip through these. Again, pure enjoyment. I'm not making him do an activity. If he knows that he has to look at a book or read a book and then I'm going to have to write and then I'm going to have to draw, he'll be like, I don't want to read that book. So this is just for enjoyment. Books, books, and more books. And then we would add in art activities. And so I'd add a couple of art activities in. This one was a whale tail that we were drawing and using soft pastels. And for my art, we have art appreciation, which is included in the good and the beautiful. And I just hit up YouTube to find a tutorial. Yeah, that's I've segued here, but we're in art. I would literally look up a YouTube tutorial on how to do the art lesson, and the kids will sit and watch the person create the artwork. And then if I need to print off anything or help them in any way, I can. But we just would then do, especially with this subject of the ocean, it's really easy to add in art projects. I added in STEM for the other science. This one I added in art, and we did a couple of different, we did a whale, and then we did the crab, and I think we did a couple of other ones as well. And I just look on YouTube, and I just already have the materials here, and we will create an art piece to go along with that. Usually each year I'll study a composer or an artist. And this year we were learning about Vincent van Gogh. And again, I just keep it really, really simple. And I usually read a Who Was book, but they didn't have one for Van Gogh. So we just read this series of books, Getting to Know the World's Greatest Artists. I think I picked this up from Amazon. It's a Scholastic book. Again, just a storybook about Van Gogh. And it has some of his artwork in there as well. And it's some cartoon pictures. But we would read aloud, watch any YouTube videos, or look for his artwork online. And then we would recreate one of his paintings. And my son was able to create this. Now, I was really proud of him. As I said, he doesn't enjoy writing or colouring in overly as much, but he did create this and he was super pumped to do it. We only had to do one activity, kept it really simple, and he would work on this over several days. He didn't get this done in one sitting, but he would pull it out when he had a spare moment or he was going to watch something. He would watch something and do this at the same time. So we have created over the year lots of different art pieces as well.
So what I will say to that is, and I already dropped it, but I'm going to drop it in again. Marieka actually has her own homeschooling YouTube channel, and it's fabulous. And there is next to no one in Australia doing. We were just chatting about it before we started. So please do yourself a favor and go over and follow her on YouTube, because I'm sure you'll share all of this again, either at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, covering all the different grades and her curriculum choices. Plus she shares just lots of interesting videos about their homeschool. And I'm not just saying that because she's here. It definitely is a valuable one to follow and watch. So
I guess my advice with people when they're setting up homeschool is to dream big, like actually have a vision for what you want your family and home life to look like, and then create your homeschool curriculum, your books and all those kind of things about that dream and vision that you have for your life. You might be a family who is like on the go all the time. You're going on holidays, you're out and about. And so you need open and go, super simple things just to get it covered so that you can enjoy the great outdoors. Like just dream big about what you want your life to look like, and then create your homeschool around that. Don't base your life on your homeschool, if that makes sense. And then life will be so much more enjoyable.
100%. I love that. And that again is what the freedom that we have when we homeschool.
That's why we homeschool. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Yes.
In the beginning, it is wildly overwhelming. No one's going to deny that. We just got to walk through that first year, 2 years, whatever it is. It's different for each of us. And fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. It's always a joy to chat with you. And I'll talk to you soon.